Today we are talking about Lightyear, one of the newest of the seemingly ever expanding list of investing apps there are out there to choose from. So I've been trying their app for the last few weeks, and in this video I want to give you my thoughts on how it's been for me. I want to talk a little bit about what it's like to use, what kind of features it has, and there are a few interesting ones in here that I haven't seen just yet in any other investing apps. Stick around to the end and I'll talk a little bit about what kind of regulation they have, because how your money is treated in these investing apps is just so important. That's coming up in just a little bit. And of course, I'm going to let you know whether I think Lightyear is worth your time and energy. See if you should be taking a closer look. Does that sound fair? Let's go. Alright, so before we get started, I need to tell you about three things. Firstly, this is a sponsored post. Full transparency, Lightyear want to get the word out on their product, and they offer to compensate me for my time and my effort to bring this video to you. Secondly, I don't want that to put you off, because as anyone who follows this channel will know that I don't often buy individual stocks and shares, which is the main offering right now with Lightyear. I'm not about to change my tactics or anything like that. I just want to look at this app from the point of view of what it's like to use, what it has got that maybe other apps don't. I'll not be looking or talking technical analysis on any particular shares or what I think you should buy or the different ways to trade, none of that sort of stuff. I'm looking at this app itself as a product, what it has to offer and everything around that. That said, I have bought and sold some shares to get a feel for the app as a customer. At the end of this video, I will show you what I've actually been buying and selling at the time of recording, so stick around if you want to see some of that. There's no point in me reviewing an app if I haven't actually used it. Lastly, I am not a financial professional. This video is for information and for entertainment. None of this is financial advice, you just won't get that here on this channel. So with all that stuff out of the way, let's get straight into it. First of all, you need to actually get the app. So we head to the website, golightyear.com, type in your phone number in the little box, and they'll send you a little link to download the app, and you can get started with as little as £1. That's pretty accessible. Plus, with an early plug, if you use my code DAV10, when you're signing up, they're going to give you $10 entirely free to get started. Yes, that's dollars. All the stocks at the time of recording are US stocks, so dollars are appropriate here. More on this just a little bit later on. So the sign up process, the first thing you have to do is add your phone number, then they send you a little code which you'll put in to verify that you are who you say you are, and then you have to go through all the usual stuff of putting in your first name, your last name, your email address, general contact information that is going to match your ID. Now, there's no catch here, there's nothing to be smart about, you just have to say who you are so that you can get on with your investing life. You're going to be offered some additional security features depending on your advice. You'll be asked different questions about the source of your funds, some regulatory questions. No tricks, nothing like that, just answer them honestly. I would suggest that you pause when it comes to reading the terms and conditions and actually read them, because these are your investments after all. If you get stuck in the weeds with all the terminology, it might be worth talking to a professional. A bit of government ID verification, and a few moments later I had access to the app to have a good look around. And it was only a look around at this particular stage. Once you are verified, you can load up the balance in your account. It's worth mentioning at this point that, of course, when you use any investing app whatsoever, you need to go in with your eyes open. Markets can go up and down, and it's important that you know this. But with that said, let's have a look at the buying experience inside the app. So opening the app, I land on the exploring section of the dashboard here. You get a little ticker along the top with some of the latest prices, a search box to give you easy access to hunt for different stocks and shares, a big chunky section here for companies that you have looked at recently, and a bit of news about stocks that you have looked at recently. Lightyear calls these lightning updates, and it shows you the stock daily price movement too. So let's buy something. I'm going to buy SoFi, and you have two different ways of buying. Either you say how much you want to spend or by how many shares you want to buy. In this case, let's just go with $100 and we move to the preview screen. It kind of acts like a confirmation screen with various bits about what you are proposing to buy. We can also see that Lightyear offer fractional shares, so virtually every penny you want to invest gets invested, and you don't have to have the right amount of money to buy whole shares. So that's a pretty common feature now, but handy nonetheless. And lastly, we can see the conversion fees of our pounds to dollars, and it's a big fat zero. And that's cool, because Lightyear currently carries zero fees. You pay nothing as long as you aren't moving around more than £3,000 in any given month. Some folks are skeptical that zero forex fees might mean a bad rate somewhere else, but I checked this at the time and the exchange rate was just about bang on, at least compared to what Google were telling me, so I have no reason to think that Lightyear are pulling any kind of fast one here. A couple lists with no deposit fees, no withdrawal fees, and no fees to move money between currencies, then as long as you stay under that £3,000 a month mark, then you will incur no fees whatsoever to use the platform. So if you do creep over the 3,000, then you will pay about 0.35% in exchange fees only. That is the only conceivable fee that Lightyear have right now, and frankly it isn't going to affect too many people at 3,000 a month. For fear of labouring this point, they are so much cheaper than some of the big boys that they're trying to compete with, and they make sure you know about it too. You can take a look at their website where they've got a nice little tool with a few different variables that lets you see just how much cheaper they actually are. Of course, there are some assumptions being made here, and at this stage Lightyear doesn't have the same feature set perhaps as some of their competitors. Nevertheless, it's very interesting to see how a fee-free environment can really help with your investment long term. Getting back to the buy, we confirm our purchase and the transaction goes through very fast. It's very quick, and I would say this about Lightyear, it feels like the fastest investing app that I have used yet. From moving around the screens in general to searching to buying and selling, it feels very slick and it looks great. So now looking at my wee portfolio here, we have some Coca-Cola and some SoFi, so let's get something else. Before we buy anything else, let me show you how we can have money in multiple currencies on Lightyear. So here we have 3 different wallets, pounds, dollars and euros. You can move money between these wallets without fees nor penalties, as I said before, and I imagine this feature will be more useful down the line. But what it does mean is that if you are buying and selling stocks in dollars, then it isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg to swap your currencies or lose out to forex fees each time you trade in and out of a position. But look, let's get back to buying stocks. So we're going to buy some Disney, but perhaps we don't know everything we want to know about Disney. And I want to show you something that Lightyear have here that I haven't seen presented as well as this in other apps. So while you look at the ticker and graph for Disney, we can scroll down here and reveal yet more info. Market caps, ratios, analyst ratings and so on. All this useful stuff when you're trying to decide whether or not a stock is worth buying. As I said before, I don't do much in the way of stock picking, but I think this info is so clear, it's well presented, and while it may not be perfect, it's useful. There is also some indication of where Lightyear might want to go in the future with this section of the app. There's little coming soon notices and premium features that just quite aren't ready to go just yet. Right, buying Disney. Similar to the SoFi experience, except this time we will buy one share rather than a fixed amount of dollars worth. And very quickly we now own some Disney too. It's very fast, it's super smooth and it's very impressive. Alright, so before I show you the state of my portfolio and how I have invested 600 quid of my own money here, we need to talk a little bit about the drier side of investing, and that is the regulation around the products you use. It's fair to say at the minute, in my opinion at least, that the regulation around Lightyear here in the UK is a bit more complex than say InvestEngine or Vanguard. Ultimately, I think it's okay, but let's have a deeper dive into what Lightyear has to say about it, and we'll try to pick the bones out of it from there. Lightyear Financial Limited is an appointed representative of Risk-Safe Technologies Limited, which is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. So Lightyear themselves aren't FCA regulated, they are an appointed representative of a company who are, and that's Risk-Safe Technologies in this case. So I looked up what that means on the FCA website. An appointed representative, or an AR, is a firm or a person who carries on a regulated activity on behalf of and under the responsibility of a firm authorised by the FCA. That's the principal. The principal assumes responsibility for the regulated activities that the AR carries out. So what that basically means is that Risk-Safe have appointed Lightyear to act responsibly and in accordance with their obligations. Also, given that Risk-Safe Technologies are regulated by the FCA, you would think you would enjoy FSCS protection as well, but in practice I don't think that will necessarily mean a lot, because this is where it gets a little bit different from the likes of InvestEngine or Vanguard, for example. So when I asked for clarification from Lightyear around this, I was told this. When you fund your account with Lightyear, our funds are sent to our e-money partner, Currency Cloud, who are operating in the UK as the Currency Cloud Limited, who are an authorised electronic money institution. So e-money is considered a means of payment rather than a deposit, like you would pay into a bank. As such, this is not protected by the FSCS. So when you purchase equities through Lightyear, the e-money held at Currency Cloud is sent to our US partner custodian, Alpaca Securities LLC, which execute your trade and hold your stocks in a segregated account in your name. Alpaca are SIPC members, and so any money they hold for you and all your equities benefit from SIPC protection. So overall, it looks like your investments are protected just in the US, which might make things tricky if anything went sideways with Lightyear. At any rate, it's important to go in with your eyes open, as I said before, and with any investment product, decide if it's right for you and act accordingly. Lightyear finished by telling me that the situation around regulation, quote, will simplify once we obtain our own licenses and can streamline the dependencies we have today. I think it might well take all the experience of the folks at Lightyear to make this a success, because apart from a fairly tough investing environment at the minute in terms of inflation and how much people actually have going spare to use with investing apps, so when you couple that with the downturn in the markets, investing interest has probably waned slightly, as is natural when things go a little bit negative, and there are probably less casual investors coming out to play with their money. It's a tricky market for sure, but absolutely not impossible. Overall, I think the early signs are good. As I say, it's quick, it's nifty, it looks nice, it's easy to use. As I say, I'm likely not their target audience. At the moment, they don't offer ETFs or index funds or anything like that. Further, you can only invest in US stocks. However, I'm sure that they will continue to add features, more investing options, more markets. But for now, what they do have in the app is pretty solid. I found the customer service to be absolutely spot on too. The couple of times I asked questions, I have been answered clearly and politely and within about 30 minutes or so. That sort of customer service goes a long way for me. Compare that to the likes of eToro, who have made me wait days or weeks to get back in touch with even the most minor queries. Alright, so with over 3,000 stocks to choose from, let's have a wee quick look at my portfolio. Over the past few weeks, I have added Coinbase, Adobe, DraftKings, Coca-Cola, SoFi Technologies, Disney, and Sea Limited. So this particular portfolio is doing pretty well because it seems I got in just as the market started to take a little bit of an upswing. And that's not any particular skill there, that's just good fortune, and I'm not daft enough to deny that. So where I don't normally go in for picking individual stocks, this has been a bit of fun getting to research some companies and a bit of fun to pick the things I'm interested in. It makes a little bit of a change for me. It's a step away from the kind of fully mechanical way that I would normally invest in the index funds and ETFs. So look, if you've found this video useful or helpful at all, then please hit that like button. It will tell YouTube that this video is worth watching. And if you did like it, then I will bet you a comment you're going to like this next one here.